when former President Corazon Aquino spoke before a joint session of United States Congress in September of 1986. The dust was only beginning to settle. It was her first visit to America since the dictator Ferdinand Marcos had been disposed in February of the same year, and the Philippines was reckoning with everything his administration had inflicted. That included $26 billion in total foreign debt and a communist insurgency that grew throughout the Marcos era from 500 armed guerrillas to 16,000. We were just at the start of a long road to recovery. So Cory Aquino lodged an appeal for help. Addressing the House, she delivered a historic speech that managed to sway in our favor the vote for an emergency $20 million aid appropriation. In the moving speech penned by her speechwriter, Teddy Locsin Jr., Aquino defended her reconciliatory stand on the communist insurgency, a sensitive issue in the United States given that this was 1986, and asked for financial aid towards rebuilding the Philippine economy.
On September 22, 1972, Opposition Senator Benigno Aquino Jr., together with senators, publishers, and anyone who had spoken up for the democracy, was arrested at the Manila Hilton Hotel in Ermita, Manila by elements of the Philippine Constabulary Metropolitan Command, PC Metrocom, and led by Colonel Romeo Gaten. This arrest had happened a day after President Ferdinand E. Marcos signed Proclamation No. 1081 declaring the entire Philippines under martial law. This was the first time that his family lost him. This was the second time that they've lost him. On August 27, 1973, Ninoy was brought back to the Fort Bonifacio, where he faced a military tribunal charges of murder, illegal possession of firearms, and subversion. They locked him up in a tiny, nearly airless cell in a military camp in the north. They stripped him naked and held a threat of sudden midnight execution over his head. On August 30, 1983, Aquino began meandering week-long flight that took him from Boston to Los Angeles and through Singapore, Hong Kong, and Taiwan, because Marcos had cut off diplomatic relations with Taiwan. The government there was under no obligations to cooperate with its regime's goals of keeping Aquino away from Manila. In May 1984, new elections for Parliament took place and opposition parties claimed 58 of the 183 available seats, even though there were large allegations of elections fraud. Corazon had publicly endorsed all of the candidates running for the opposition parties. Marcos recently called the snap or early presidential elections amid-sharp. Corazon Aquino, despite a lack of political experience, said she would consider running against Marcos if 1 million signatures had been collecting, urging her to enter the race. Former newspaper publisher Joaquin Rosas, 72, said his group had collected 1,005,882 signatures as of 6:35 p.m. Monday in support of yet. Despite all of these serious challenges, not once did Aquino consider declaring martial law. Her stubborn adherence to the democratic process, Archibald MacLeish had said that democracy must be fitted by arms when it's attacked by arms and by truth when it's attacked by lies. In March 1986, Aquino proclaimed a provisional constitution and soon thereafter appointed of a commission to write a new constitution. She failed to undertake fundamental economic or social reforms, and her popularity steadily declined. She faced constitutional outrage over economic injustice and political corruption, and these problems were exacerbated by President's warfare between the communist insurgencies and a military whose loyalties to Aquino's were uncertain. In general, her economic policies were criticized for being mixed or faltering in the face of mass poverty. Aquino was succeeded in the office by her former Defense Secretary Fidel Ramos. The ratification of the new constitution was followed by the elections of senators and Congress that same year and the holding of local elections in 1988. President Aquino and President Reagan discussed her strenuous efforts to bolster the democratic institution of her country and to ensure the security and strengthen its economy. And he assured that her all of the America wants Philippine democracy to succeed and to prosper that will do what we can to help.
The speech of the former President Corazon Aquino gave us the insight on how Filipinos struggle to attain freedom in between the insistent resistance from the past have inspired Filipino revolutionaries in our current era. It also gave clarification about what really happened during the time of Ninoy Aquino. The document described the struggle faced by the Aquinos to help the Philippines achieve freedom. The document also mentioned about the debt incurred by the former government before Cory Aquino. This speech also shows how dictatorship transformed into democratic government, from its president down to its laws, order, and rules. The document also mentioned the killing of Ninoy Aquino and the terror from torture and conviction during the martial law. It shows the problem faced by Cory Aquino as soon as she became the president. For instance, the poverty and unemployment. The document mentioned two elections occurred after the death of Ninoy Aquino. His wife participated during the election and lost in the first election. During the second election, which is the snap election, she became the president and declared democracy in the